From Toronto, Canada, it's the Up and Adam Show. I'm Stu Jeffers, and now, here's your host, Adam Lupus.
Walt, I just don't want you to put us in danger. I am the danger. Hey guys, hey, I didn't see you there. Welcome back to the Up and Adam Show, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adam Lupus. We will get to that in a second. But firstly, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. And if you're on YouTube watching this, which obviously you are, well, so the episode will be posted, give it a good thumbs up and comment below your thoughts. And if you have any suggestions for future episodes, leave them down below. I want to say thank you so much for all you guys so far, because you know what? We wouldn't be in the studio without any of you guys watching. And it's made me so passionate, and it pushed me to be in this setting and to take the show to the next level. I want to shout out Wallware, Marilena, who is my muralist, for the nice, beautiful background that you are not going to be seeing this episode. You'll be seeing it next episode. But for my monologue area, we have a cool Rocky Balboa poster from Sylvester Stallone. No, he didn't actually give it to me, but you know, come on, guys. Sly Stallone, amazing Rocky Balboa poster. Also, my other poster made by my good friend Sam Burnell at Little Sam's Art. Amazing artist, guys. You got to check him out. We got my record player here. We got my figurine by the amazing Sir Collectorlot. That I said like a nice knight in shining armor, Sir Collectorlot. He's actually a sir. He's not actually a sir. He didn't get knighted by the Queen, but you know who did get knighted by the Queen? Austin Powers in Austin Powers 3. Good movie. Check it out. And also we got some good records here. We got some Frank Sinatra. We got some Queen, the best of. We got the very best of ELO. We got the very best of Santana, and the very best of everything, guys, because I just get the very best of everything for all the records. And going back to this bear brick right here, this is actually a Breaking Bad Walter White bear brick, if you can't really see, but I'll put it a little closer. Got it online, really, really cool, and it'll be here for every episode, but this episode's actually inspired by Breaking Bad. I actually had on Skinny Pete, Charles Baker, on the show today. Amazing guy, and me and Luke actually spoke with him. Luke talked more about the Breaking Bad stuff in the movies, and today I spoke with him about basically more than the movies and besides the acting stuff. You know, for those who don't know, Charles grew up, he had a really rough upbringing with his parents being divorced and his dad going around the world, being in the military and everything. You know, a couple of his siblings got into drugs, and you know, he was very comfortable talking about that last time I had him on the show. So today we talked a lot about his upbringing and how he got to where he is. He's a very talented musician too. You guys got to check him out on Spotify. I'll put the link down below. And growing up, guys, his mom put him in gymnastics. So he was all around, he was a good performer and entertainer. And that's what kind of led him to be an actor. He always just thought, and he told me that was a thing to do. Like he goes, this is who I am. So, you know, I really admire that about him, because I see myself in him, and he really inspires me, because this is who I am, right? I didn't go to school. I didn't, I never wanted to work for somebody. So I thought this is the career path I want to choose. And Charles is a good example of never giving up and being really resilient, because again, going through so many things, he's really pushed through that. And as humble as he is, he's I've told him on the episode, I said, because he was very humble, and he said like, oh, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal and all that stuff. I said, dude, like to go through what you did to get to where you are, props to you, man. And being on the hit show Breaking Bad, one of the greatest shows of all time, second to Sopranos, and my girlfriend's gonna hate me for saying that, but no, honestly, they're pretty much tied. But great show. And also on top of that, we talked about a good topic on the episode today, imposter syndrome. Now, Charles posted a clip on his Instagram about somebody spamming him, oh, I love you, Skinny P, I love you, Skinny P, oh, like all these things. And he felt, you know, the thing we talked about is that people don't know who he really is as a person. And I think in this industry, actors, talk show hosts, anybody, there's this thing about the disconnection between fans and people, you know, the actors who they look up to, right? There's this disconnection. And I think it goes back to the idea that, you know, they don't, you know, do they love you for the character, or do they love you for who you are? You know, and that's what separates, you know, actors and people sometimes, right? But at the end of the day, it shouldn't, because they're just normal people and they're just like us. So, you know, it was good to get his perspective on that. So I hope you guys really enjoy the episode today. Luke from the Cinebros podcast, obviously on the team, joining us every week, spoke with him as well, talked about the movie. So you guys can check that out as well after the interview. Also, guys, Bad Batch is back for another conspiracy theory. Great one this week. I actually had a good laugh watching it too, because they're just all around funny guys. But this was a crazy one. It made me think too. Did O.J. Simpson really do it? I don't know. Apparently, they're saying his son Jason was a part of this stuff. And again, I'm not gonna get too into it. I want to save it for their episode. But guys, great episode this week. I'm really happy to kick it off in the studio. We're gonna have a lot of fun, guys. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back from the break. Guys, I have a very special guest in store for you all today. He is the legendary Skinny Pete on the hit show Breaking Bad. But today we're talking about more than that because there's more to this guy than just acting. Please welcome Charles Baker. Charlie, how are you, man?
I'm good, Adam. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's been quite a while since we last spoke. It's been about a year almost, I think.
No kidding. Yeah. It's I've been just like everybody else, just kind of like hiding away in my hole at home and staying away from it all, you know.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, in the past year, I've grew a beard, so I guess that's something that changed. So
yeah, I was like, am I talking to the right guy?
But yeah, I know. I finally hit puberty. It's pretty funny story actually. My dad finally gave me the birds and bees story. It was lovely.
Hey, dude, I'm 50 years old and I still cannot grow a full beard.
Who knows if I can grow a full beard though? This is like it's really patchy right now, but I guess we'll have to.
Oh, dude, you've got me beat by far when it comes to the beard part. So it's
okay. You look good with clean shave suit too, though, and I like the hair you got too. Didn't you have like a mullet before too? It was like long and one on the sides.
Yeah, well, I mean that's kind of it's a cross between my job and just needing to get a haircut. I playing the kind of characters I tend to get cast as, they usually don't want me looking too clean cut.
Yeah.
And so what I kind of have this little thing this business is very secular. It's like I know a lot of times when I'm going to have a lot of work, and I know when I'm going to have a good break, and usually around Christmas time is a pretty good break in the winter. And I'll get like one really good haircut short, like cut down, and then as the year goes by, I'll get a part and they'll say, don't cut your hair, and I'll let it just get shaggy. And then maybe they'll like trim off the top or trim off the sides. If it's a period piece, they'll make it look like whatever period it happens to be, but they usually don't cut all of it. They just cut like pieces just to fit the style. And then by the end of the year,
I do the same thing though. Even right now, I'm at a phase where it's kind of like getting there. It's almost medium length, but I'm trying to grow it out. Right. We'll see what happens. Right. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough sometimes because I like all my hair short, but every time I cut it, I always regret it. So that's one of those things. Right? I'm sure the same way. You cut it, you go, I should have left it.
Yeah. It comes and goes. Sometimes I cut it and go, yeah, I should have done this years ago.
Yeah.
And then after a few months, I'm like, why did I do this?
Yeah. It's like, for me, it's a few days. So at least you can enjoy it for a few months without regretting it.
Right. There's a weird balance, but I'll grow it out all year, and then eventually it'll just be like, shaggy and long. And then I'll know I'm getting a pretty long hiatus from work for a little while and go, okay, I'm going to go clean up, and I get to look nice, a little bit throughout the year. Okay. I because of the pandemic and the lockdown, my hairstylist hasn't been really easy to get a hold of.
Probably, yeah.
And so for many years, my best friend, when I lived in Texas, my best friend was my hairstylist, and he was really good. I mean, he was third generation barber,
Nice.
And so not only did I have someone who like knew my hair and knew how to cut it and knew what looked right with me, but I didn't really have to pay him very much.
I was gonna say you're lucky. All those years you didn't have to pay. So
yeah. And then I moved to California, and he wasn't willing to fly out to California every 3 weeks to cut my hair.
What a guy! Like I mean, like how selfish is he?
Yeah.
Can't fly down
every now. He will come and visit and like stay for a couple of days, and then like do a family, like everybody in the family gets a nice haircut. But so I was kind of forced to find a new hairstylist when I moved to California, and as plentiful as they are, finding one, local that that I was comfortable with, and that
It's tough.
yeah, it's not easy, but I found one, and
Yeah.
I really like her, and but again, she's not always accessible, and
Yeah, well, I was a barber. I think I told you last time. I was a barber. I actually quit because of the pandemic and stuff. I just found a different career path. But I was a barber for like 4 years, and
wow.
I didn't pay for a haircut for all those 4 years because my coworkers would be cutting my hair. But I do know the struggle. And I understand what you mean. There's a lot of barbers, a lot of hairstylists out there, but to find one that's good and that like you can trust with your hair, because
Right.
barbering is a craft, right? So
Yeah.
everybody has their own style, and sometimes they may do a haircut that looks really good, but you go, I don't like this. This is not for me. And
Right.
it's so tough because it's so like, when people come in, for example, right, they'll tell me, oh, I want it like, if people don't know about hair, they're going to say, yeah, I want it short, clean it up a little bit off the top, but they don't, it's hard to articulate the style, right? It's so
Right.
easy to say, I
Right.
want short and a little bit off the top. But when you do,
Right.
they go, yeah, but I was going to put it this way. I was going to put it with like a little bit of with a pomp
Yeah.
in the front. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
why don't you tell me that so I could do it? So it is
Yeah.
it's a very tough job.
It's
People
rough.
think cutting hair is
Well,
easy.
that's the benefit of one having a best friend who is a like really good hairstylist. Is
Because they see you
he?
every day anyways. They know how you
Yeah,
look.
he wasn't afraid to talk about it and like say, "Oh no, what you want to do is this," and
Yeah. Yeah.
But also
He educated you along the way.
right. Also, when I was in high school and college, I had a friend who was going through barber school through uh, I don't know what the program was, like Vidal Sassoon or something, but it was
Well, if it's Sassoon, it's a really good. It's a really good place.
yeah, they were at a really good place, but she was a student, and they often needed to bring their own model in to do like
Like the
tests.
demos and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they also encourage people to come in and just get their haircut from this place for a really low rate because they were all students. And
Yeah.
um I was like, go for it. Let's you want to try something? Like I've had my hair permed, I've had it bleached pure white, I've had all kinds of, I used to have a mohawk, I've had
That's awesome.
just whatever they wanted to try out. Like, yeah, let's do it, man.
It's just hair. It
Let's
goes
have
back
fun.
anyways.
Yeah, it comes and goes, and I'm a character actor. I'm supposed to look
Yeah.
different, and it's fun having a different look every time I go into a new show. And like, wow, that's I found it's really easy to almost be like Clark Kent. If you just part your hair on the other side, and people are like, hey, don't I know you? And like, we're best friends, dude. How did you not?
Yeah. Good little analogy right there. I'm a big fan of Superman, so I love that. Are you actually watching the new show, Superman and Lois?
No, not the moment. No.
It's really good, actually. It's really good. Not as good as
Right on.
Smallville, I'll say, but it's pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't watch too much TV anymore. It's weird how like being in jobs kind of ruined it for me. It's like I'd spend more time analyzing performances and camera techniques and finding the little mistakes and going, why did they do that? And just like, and I've lost the ability to get into that
Because you're
that
always
fantasy world.
Because you're always, when you watch it, because since you are an actor and you know how the industry is, you go, like they could have done it. Yeah, you look at it from a different perspective after.
Right. You see a shot where somebody is supposed to be completely isolated out in the middle of nowhere, and they're supposed to be just completely alone, and you're supposed to have this feeling of isolation for this person.
But
and
you
I
can't,
can't
because
help
you know
but
how many
think
people are actually
there's an army of people standing just behind the camera with all kinds of gadgets like that.
You lost
And so I lost that a little bit. So I don't know, I watch some, mostly if my friends are in a show. If I know somebody who's in a show, or if it's really kind of, I like the real sci-fi kind of otherworld, alternative universe kind of
so do I.
stuff.
Like Star Trek 2 kind of things like that.
Yeah. And period pieces. I love anything that's set in a different time period.
So do I love that stuff. Even like, for example, like a movie like The Mummy, for example. I love movies like that. Adventure with like it's a little bit of actually it's a lot of fantasy. There's no way a mummy could come to life, or maybe,
Right.
who knows, right? But but it's crazy. Yeah, the period pieces, the sci-fi stuff, those are most enjoyable because you also look at it from a different perspective in that aspect too. You go, I wonder how they, like, it's so cool how they created that, like the
Right.
CGI, or like, the thought of it, like how did they think of that idea, like to bring a mummy back to life? That's so cool,
Yeah. Well, the neat thing about period pieces for me is when I've been in them, any ones I've been in, I've been lucky enough that we shot on, like, in locations that were real, that at least were made to look real.
Oh
And
wow.
so there wasn't a lot of imagination happening. And those were the sets where you could actually forget that you're acting, where even though there is a crew, they're almost hidden among, these great set pieces
Yeah.
and elaborate, like, art department decor and,
Mhm.
props. And I mean, just it's kind of, I love those. I love performing in them because you can really lose yourself in your imagination while you're doing it. And I think that's why I like watching them, because I'm not thinking about, oh well, there's a guy standing right there
Yeah.
with a reflector, obviously, and that's how they're getting that light. It takes me completely away from my job.
Yeah,
And
it's almost
as
like an
much as
escape for you, and that's really,
right,
and it's really cool.
right,
You have that thing that happens too, and even though you don't watch much TV, you don't really get into that stuff. I mentioned how you're a musician as well. You've been spending a lot of time doing that, and I actually
yeah.
listen to your music on Spotify, and it's amazing. And you're a
Oh,
really good,
thank you.
talented guitar player. I play a
Thank
little bit
you very much.
myself, not as good, but I try to dabble with it. But it's really neat, and like and I guess for the past year since the last time we spoke, what have you been doing with music? Like, what kind of new projects do you have? What's new with that?
um I've discovered, um I I love playing music. I'm not so much of a fan of putting myself out there as a musician. And it's not, I love playing music for people, but like putting out an album, putting out videos of me singing, there's no personal connection. And that's what I love about singing, is like sitting around with a group of people, in a small kind of environment in my living room, the old, sitting at a park with a group of friends and jamming and
Yes.
singing songs and having people sing along with you and feeling their input, feeling their reaction
Yeah.
through their laughter or their smile or them tapping along. And um, I when I was starting as an actor, someone had told me that, when you the second you decide to get paid, you stop being an artist and you start being a business person.
Yeah, it's true.
And I love being an actor. I love working as an actor, and I love supporting my family as an actor. But they were right. I have to think a lot of times more about the business than I do about the art.
Yeah.
Deciding which roles to take, and fighting myself over, I don't really want to play this kind of character, but this is a great opportunity, and so
Mhm.
I need to take it. And that's where the business kind of comes in. And I think, any other kind of artistic endeavor that I like to do, I've kind of decided I think I'd rather keep that to myself.
Okay.
Um, and I mean, not, I'll jam with people and sing songs and maybe, post a video or something of a cover tune or anything, something.
But you're doing it for more yourself rather than
And
the
yeah,
idea that I want to get
yeah,
big and want to get noticed. It's more like
right,
I'm showcasing this to give you guys, because you mentioned that feeling when you're surrounded by your friends and you're playing, and that music feeds the soul, right? As corny as that
right,
sounds, but
right,
so when you post about it or you kind of showcase it, you're doing it more to kind of give that people that same feeling, essentially.
right, right. Um, and being successful at an artistic endeavor, or any endeavor, any job you want to be successful in, the trick to it is not aim to be successful at the job. The trick is to do what you love and get caught doing what you love with integrity.
Yeah.
you just not thinking about like marketing and all of the other stuff that comes along with being a professional, whatever, artist, singer, accountant, bank manager, anything you want to do.
Anything basically, yeah.
You get caught doing what you love with integrity.
Yeah.
And then people will see that, and that will propel you. And that's why.
Sorry to add on as well. Sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say, because you said something really important there about kind of staying with the integrity, right? A lot of people sometimes when they don't do that, they end up selling out more along the line, like later on in life. So for example, I'll give an example with my show. Let's say I was looking just business aspect. I didn't, I was doing it more because I want to get money or fame, which I don't, but let's say I did want to do that. Later on down the road, when someone offers me a really good money opportunity, but it may not be the best suit for me, I'm going to take it because I've already sold out in the beginning. When you initially sell out, it's a lot harder to redeem yourself. But when you stay with that integrity, that's the true character that comes out. And later on down the road, look at people like Sylvester Stallone, for example. Like he has a lot of integrity because he literally didn't want to sell his script to a what's it called, a production company, right? He literally said, it's either I star in it or I'm not selling it. That's it.
Right.
And he ended up getting the lowest amount of money, but he got to star in a movie and it became successful because it's like what you just said. When you do it for that pure intent, that's when the true magic kind of unfolds.
Right. And so, I'm not actually pursuing a career in music. I'm keeping it, I love sharing what I can do when it feels right.
Yeah.
No,
that's good though.
And so sometimes I'll pop on a video of me playing a cover tune. I stopped writing songs a long time ago, and there's a really weird kind of reason why. I had always considered being a musician, being a singer was my original intent. From the time I started college, actually being a music teacher was my original intent. And then I was going to become, I thought, if I was going to actually perform, I was going to be a singer. And at first, I started as a vocal major, and I had a recital, and I showed up to my recital, and my accompanist didn't show up. And so the Italian aria I was supposed to perform for this vocal competition kind of got squashed, and I panicked in that moment. And I asked the judges, hey, since my accompanist didn't show up, can I accompany myself on the piano? And they went, I guess. Well, I didn't have any arias performed, any classical songs performed, prepared.
Yeah, it was all on the spot because
for piano. So I just, one of the few songs that came to my mind was a John Denver tune. Annie's Song is the name of and I just like, this is all I got. And I performed a John Denver tune for a classical vocal competition. And they actually gave me high marks.
Oh, wow. Good. That's awesome.
Because I accompanied myself. And so from that point, I had this kind of insecurity about trying to sing with trusting other people when it came to performing. So I started working on playing piano more. It had been just kind of something I tinkered with, but I started trying to learn how to play songs that I could sing. And I started having this, like, I'm going to be a Billy Joel kind of performer. I'm going to go to clubs, play piano and sing. And I love, he's got some really great music. I mean, he really does. He has
that, like, that very jazzy, like more of like that. I guess I could picture him being in a jazz bar playing for people. Yeah.
So, and I didn't have any particular style of music I wanted to play. I love I'm like a very eclectic musical tastes, right? so I started working on that, and then I kind of realized as I was growing up and going to see shows at live small venues and see local bands, a lot of these clubs didn't have their own pianos, and I couldn't afford to get some really expensive, good sounding electric piano.
Yeah.
I didn't have the ability to transport a piano around to club to
I was
club.
gonna say that wouldn't be, that would, I think that's probably more
Really
harder than the
hard.
affording part. Yeah.
And so what I did was I went, well, I should get something portable. So I started teaching myself how to play guitar.
Oh, so that's how it
And
all came together. Okay, that's pretty cool.
yeah, I got my first guitar I got when I was 18 years old, and it was actually a birthday present from my roommates, and we were all like dirt poor, living in a condemned building, and they found it in a dumpster and basically glued it back together. It had been just destroyed, and it was a really it was I mean it was a little tiny guitar, 3/4 size guitar, and it had literally been glued back together, and it was impossible to actually tune, like to really get in tune. But I learned some chords and started playing, and I learned how to play by ear, which goes way back to my first instrument, which was a violin, which I learned before I could read. And it was a Suzuki method, which is learning how to play by ear before you learn
Yeah,
how to read.
that's how I learned guitar, most of it by ear. I took lessons after, but learning by ear. And then actually, it's funny. Guitar and piano are similar, like in terms of the notes I've heard and stuff like that. So I heard if you can play
Yeah,
guitar, you can play piano, or is it like vice versa? I'm not.
I mean, it depends on what you're. I mean, they're both technically stringed instruments. Yes.
Yes. So
They
exactly.
both. They both. I mean, piano has you have bass and treble clef. Guitar is mostly I play chords, and I don't read tablature. I know how to play chords and rhythm, and then anything else is mostly just by ear or from watching other musicians sitting around in circles playing guitar.
Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward, I finally later in college, I got into a band, and I was singing for a band, and that was all I was doing, was just standing there singing. But I didn't really know what to do besides sing. And I overheard an unofficial band meeting that I was not invited to. I had just happened to be in the other room, and I actually heard them say, like, he's a good singer, but like he doesn't have any personality or stage presence. And
They said that about you?
yeah,
Oh wow.
and they were right. I mean, I would just like, okay, here's our next song. And they wait for them to start the music, and then I'd sing the song, and I was like all over the place when I sang the song, and the song would finish, and I'm like, okay, now here's our next song.
Here's our next song. Here's our next song. It's the Billy Joel Piano Man.
I didn't know how to talk to a crowd. I didn't know how to just be comfortable, and I still probably wouldn't know how to do it. But that prompted me to start taking more straight acting lessons and improvisation. I wanted to be more comfortable on stage and be more comfortable not singing. I'd done a lot of musicals through high school and college, but I did it for the singing and the dancing, which is where I was trained.
Yeah.
And the acting was just kind of a side part of being in musicals. But like, if I could be in an opera type musical where it was mostly singing and dancing, or I was typically in the chorus, so I was only there for the singing and dancing. So I started taking acting, and that kind of rolled into where I am now. And then of course I get on Breaking Bad, and they catch me playing piano off camera, and realize, hey, we can add that to his character. And so they email me and say, the producers email me and say, hey, we'd like to add you playing a piano in one of our episodes. Would you be okay with that? I was like, absolutely. Like,
yeah, that's awesome.
What songs can you play? Like, and so I sent them a list of the songs that I felt proficient enough to play, and they immediately chose the song that I used. And so I played Solfeggiato by Bach, Carl Emanuel Philip Bach. And not surprisingly to me, but to a lot of people, it kind of like blew up.
Was that was it a scene when you were in Jesse's house? It was you, Jesse.
No, it was at a music store. Me and Badger were at a music store.
Yes. Okay. I thought it was at his house or something like that for some reason. But yeah, it was you and Badger. Yeah.
Badger and I were at a music store, and I was jamming on the keyboards, and then he kind of interrupts with this double flying V guitar and kills the mood. And then the salesman's like, yeah, cool. So that scene kind of like blew up, and like everybody's like, Skinny Pete's a pianist, the guy who played Skinny Pete's a pianist. And I was like, being an actor, we tend to have this kind of imposter syndrome as it is, but now everyone's like, oh, he's a finely trained classical pianist. And I'm like, not really. But I started practicing more and playing more piano and getting more piano. And then I went, well, yeah, everyone knows me as a pianist. I should show off my singing skills. And so I put some videos on Instagram of me playing guitar and singing. And suddenly people are like, wow, I didn't know you play guitar. You really play guitar well. And it's like, I'm not an instrumentalist, really. I didn't want to play guitar or piano to have to be a singer. I want to sing with a band. You just wanted to
sing, yeah.
I just want to sing. Really, playing an instrument while singing makes it harder to sing. I mean, it changes.
I can't do that. It's hard to multitask that, yeah.
Well, the multitasking that's once you get your brain past that, but you also, there's a breathing, element to it, and then you have you're playing a hard.
You got to actually perform as well. You got to sing, play, and move and perform that with it looking natural. Otherwise, you look like a robot after. Yeah.
But like the bouncing of your arm playing guitar will change how you sound, and it's really hard. You have to control that, and I just really wanted to be a singer, but I love playing guitar. I've been doing it now for a really long time. I'm still not very good at it. I can strum very well. And I play a lot of cover tunes. But the reason I stopped writing music was throughout most of my life, I thought being an artist meant being a tortured artist, being writing all the songs I had written prior to meeting my wife were, how hard it was, and losing the love of my life, and love and loss and tragedy, and all of like, I love songs that like have heart like that.
Yeah.
And I met my wife, and was with her for 4 or 5 years, and I realized, like, if I want to keep writing the music that I love to write, I would have to live in this world of like misery and pain, and that's not where I live now. Like, I don't have any, I'm not sad about anything. I'm not like depressed. Like, I have a pretty darn good life, and I'm between like picking the perfect soulmate and like finding her and managing to get into this career. Like, what do I have to feel sorry about? And so what am I left? If I'm going to write about what I know, all my songs are going to be like happy, like, and that's not my jam. I mean, that's not the kind of music that I like. I want stuff that's soulful and mourning and real and gritty and deep, and I don't have that in me anymore. Like, so like, I don't need to write songs about how shitty my life used to be.
Because it's not anymore. It's not going to feel as real, because it's like, okay, well, I'm not. So why am I writing it? Yeah.
Right. But so that's where I moved on. Like, I'll play cover. I love playing cover tunes. I was like, I can.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I wanted to ask for your opinion about I have some records here. I want to see which ones you like the best.
Oh, so God. I
got Earth, Wind and Fire. Okay.
Right.
Okay, I got Queen's Greatest Hits. Oh, you like that one, eh? There's also Santana.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
And I'm sure you would like that because you play guitar and stuff, and he's amazing, anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
And Michael Jackson, the Thriller album.
I did love it when it was out, and I guess the nostalgia of it is there. My youngest son, who's now 9, he really, really loved Thriller.
Really?
Like he loves that song. I mean, when he was little tiny, he went to a daycare where the people who ran the daycare are actually like professional musicians, and they weren't shy about just playing music. And I guess for around Halloween, they were playing Thriller, the music video for some older kids there, and he came home and he goes, "Mom, Dad, I want to hear the scary song." And I was like, "The scary song? What's the scary song?" Like, I want to hear and listen to the scary song. I had to call up the daycare and go, "What's the scary song?" They went, "Oh, Michael Jackson's Thriller." And so we found it on YouTube, and I put it up on the TV.
And he's probably dancing to it too.
Oh, well, after a while, he knew the dance, but like he would be sitting on the couch and the music would be playing, and like it was, all the dance moves would start, and like halfway through, he'd be like,
"It's like, son, you okay? Like, what's wrong with you?" It's like, "No, Dad, I'm good."
We knew what was happening because like we'd caught him doing it before. So like, grabbed a phone and just kind of hit it over the side and just kind of like
put on YouTube, make it go viral. Hey son, look, you're viral now.
And he eventually, after a few just like sitting there and doing some of them, he eventually just got up and started doing as much as like a 3-4-year-old child could from watching the video, started doing the whole dance.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I guess he takes after you with that because you're you're a performer, you love that stuff. And actually, I want to talk about something too. You actually mentioned it when you were just telling that story about your music and everything, how about this imposter syndrome thing, right? And that's actually one of my questions too, because I saw a post about someone like spamming you in your DMs. And you mentioned how you're exhausted by that constant feeling of imposter syndrome that comes with being everyone's so-called hero, right? I want to know how do you cope with separating the perception fans have of you with who you really are as a person?
I try and just keep it out of my mind. I mean, I can't control what other people think or how they think about stuff. I was, despite saying I don't watch a lot of TV now, I grew up immersed in TV and movies.
Yeah.
And I understand the attraction and how just like magnetizing it can be and how mesmerizing, I would have, prior to ever moving to Hollywood, if I would ever known somebody who just had a day player role in a movie, like they said a line in a movie, oh my God, they're famous, you know? And I get that. And I didn't mean to really, be disparaging towards anybody in that little rant. But it was, I'm human, just like all actors and everybody else, despite all those disclaimers on commercials or these are real people, not actors.
Superman is actually real.
Yes. I of course, I don't always feel like I'm a great friend, and like, especially, El Camino, and I'm just going to be a little bit real here. El Camino was a wonderful project. It was awesome. I mean, an amazing opportunity. And I would love to do anything like that again.
Yeah.
Now the thing about that was, though, I had to sign a really strict non-disclosure agreement. And I mean, like super, super strict. And I've signed a couple of those before, and that was easy because nobody really cared. But just about a few days before we started actually shooting El Camino, rumors started coming out about it being in production. And then everybody I knew literally started calling me going, "Hey man, are you going to be in this Breaking Bad movie? I hear there's going to be a Breaking Bad movie." And according to the contract I signed, and my wife is a contract lawyer, so she's kind of particular about the things I sign and how I adhere to them. I could not deny or confirm or deny the existence
Oh, really?
existence of this movie.
That must have been so hard just to even word it on the phone, like.
Right. And so I felt for almost a year. I mean, from the time they read, I got to read the first script, is when I signed that non-disclosure, until almost a year later when it actually came out. I had to basically lie to everybody I knew. And it, like, there were some people that, all of us actors who sign these non-disclosure, there's some people we know that we can say, "Hey, yeah, you cannot tell anybody. I know you're not going to betray my trust."
Yeah.
But in this particular instance, so many people were wanting to know, and so many people were so creative in their way of kind of questioning and probing and like trying to trick people into like disclosing information. I didn't want to put anybody I knew in that position, in the position that I felt like I was trapped in, of I can't tell anybody. My wife knows because she knows I'm having to go in and out of town. I didn't tell my children really what was going on. Not that they cared, but all it took was, like, I knew my children's teachers are fans of the show, the principal. And
so if you would have told them and they would have spread it would have been bad. Yeah.
I mean, and the consequences for that were pretty heavy, of, leaking that information.
Yeah.
And more than that, when somebody you deeply respect in any part of your life, but and especially for me as an actor, when a creator, a writer / executive producer who has won multiple Emmys, who has been so awesomely kind to you, says, "Hey man, it would mean really a lot to me if you don't let this information get out." That to me was more important than any contract I signed. I gave a man, Vince Gilligan, my word that I would not tell people about this.
Yeah. So you're saying it felt more it felt more like, when you did it that way, it felt more personal, you're saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I signed the contract long before he said, it just means a lot to me that this doesn't get leaked.
Yeah.
And I honestly, me, Matt Jones, who plays Badger, Aaron Paul plays Jesse, the three of us talked about it, and like, none of us wanted to be the asshole that let it slip.
Yeah.
And
true.
You're doing everything you can, right, to not let it happen. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, okay, so let's make sure, like, whoever lets it slip owes the rest of us a bunch of money. Let's, like, if anybody, it was kind of like a challenge. Like, we did it more for the love and respect we had for the people who had hired us.
Yeah.
And who had, I mean, Vince Gilligan didn't have to write this incredible script that had made this guy who was a day player in the original series have such a prominent role. He did that knowing that I was going to play that character. And
exactly.
he wrote that with the trust that I was going to be able to do it well and not ruin his project. And I don't want to let that guy down.
Of course, because he gave you that opportunity, right? Yeah.
Right. That's the greatest honor you could ever get, to have a like amazing writer like that write something specifically
for you, catered to you. Yeah. That, like, it's cool because it's like the imagination of it. Like it's not like, again, it's not like you're one of those day guys where it's like you go in, it's like, okay, you're playing this guy and you'll never be on here again. You were on the show, but then you went on that movie, and it just shows how he really liked you as a more than just an actor, as a person, to be like, I want to continue that Skinny Pete legacy onto the El Camino movie.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that, I mean, if maybe I were like a Brad Pitt kind of level kind of actor, it would be different and people would just hire me because I have the, but people don't hire. I don't think people just hire me because of my talent. People hire me because you can work with me, like, because I'm a professional. I don't rub you the wrong way.
You're also a great guy. And listen,
I try to be.
I've only talked to you. This is the second time I talked to you, but I feel like I've known you for a while. Just speaking to you, I feel comfortable, and I think that goes with anybody. Think about it like this: the reason why you probably said yes to come on again was again for the same reason that you just feel like you can have a conversation with me. I'm not some guy that's just like, even if I was, let's say like a Jimmy Fallon, you're not looking at it like that. You're looking like Adam's a good guy. We're gonna have a good conversation today.
Yeah, and I don't have any agenda. But let me get to my point here. So in imposter syndrome. So after this year of evasive answering to all of my friends' questions, like, is there going to be a movie? And instead of going yes or no, saying, well, wouldn't that be cool? It'd be cool if there was, huh? Oh, that'd be amazing. If they asked, I'd be there. Yeah. All these kind of like evasive answers. I was very careful to not actually try to lie to people straight to their faces and say, nope, there isn't. But I was very careful not to also say, give anything away, or even hint at giving it away and like, well, who knows? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I kind of in that process isolated myself from everybody I knew. Like I just kind of put a wall between them because I spent my entire career being my own publicist and like, hey, I got a show coming up. You got to watch it. You got to check out this show. It's coming up on, I'm playing this bad guy. Because I learned as an actor early on, your first fan base are your friends and family.
Yeah, it's true.
And if you can get your friends and family to watch, and if you can get them to talk about it, they're going to tell their friends, other friends.
Snowball effect.
And that's how you build an audience. And so that had been my training, and that's been my like whole way of building my career up until this point. And here I was, now I'm not allowed to tell anybody about the biggest project I have ever had. And I can't even like tell people I'm in it, much less like that it's I can't even tell people that it's like even happening, much less that I'm in it, And so I felt like the shittiest friend on the planet to almost everybody I knew. I was able to tell like my wife and my in-laws. I was able to talk to other people who I knew had signed the same non-disclosure agreement and who were on it. But otherwise, I was afraid to give away too much information, and too many of my friends were fans and really like, come on, you can tell me, I won't tell anybody. And it's like, I know, but if I tell you, then like all the other people that I didn't tell are gonna be like, how come you didn't tell me? And
exactly, because everyone says that same line, I won't tell anybody. But then if 10 people say that, you just told 10 people.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. Right.
And so, really first world problems. I couldn't tell people about this great project I'm in, and I don't feel sorry for myself. I had a good reason, but I couldn't help but notice once the project was announced that there were a few people who seemed genuinely disappointed in the fact that I didn't tell them, and that made me even feel like less of everybody's friend. And then the show comes out, and the main meme about Skinny Pete is he's everybody's best friend in the world, and I'm like, this is really, really ironic. Like I with that movie, I became a stranger to all of my best friends and a best friend to all of these strangers.
That's crazy. Wow, that's actually really deep.
Yeah, and so it kind of hit me hard. And I'm not gonna lie, that it came out just a few months before this pandemic hit, and then everybody isolated. It kind of compounded that same feeling of like all these people out there who I've never met, who don't know me from Adam, are talking about how I'm everybody's best friend and I'm the friend that everybody wants. And yet here I am, I'm not really feeling like that good of a friend. And I'm like, and so it was really just rough kind of period for me in that aspect. Eventually just kind of ate me up, and I went, man, stop calling me your best friend. Stop. You don't really know who I am. Most people, I think, if they knew all about me, and I don't think any of what I think is like a despicable kind of beliefs, but a lot of people wouldn't like me just for my life's philosophy, which is completely harmless, but there are a lot of people who get very angry at harmless philosifies. So,
well, not everyone in life will like you, but at the same time,
and that's
the hard thing, right? But I think at the end of the day, even though people don't think like that, like they think, oh, like you lied to me, this, that, you're not my friend, type of thing. You felt like that. At the end of the day, you have to tell yourself, because you know the type of person you really are, and you know that you are a good guy and a good friend at the end of the day, like, because you didn't do this on purpose, you had no agenda, like how you say. It's more just that it's, at the end of the day, it's your job, right? And sometimes you have to respect your job, right? And it's not people just think it's all glamorous, like, oh, you're in a good movie hit show, why can't you tell me? Oh, you kept it a secret. But you have to go, it's not an easy thing. Like, you had a hard time even biting your tongue, saying I can't even tell my close friends. And the fact that you feel bad about it, that just shows how good of a guy you really are. Because if you just felt no remorse about it, you didn't care, first off, you'd be a sociopath. I'm joking about it. No, but all jokes aside, you would actually, you would, if you didn't have any feelings towards it, you'd be like, okay, screw you, y'all, you're mad at me, okay, I don't care. Like, I'll be with my big actor friends. And no, but because you just said, like, it's friends and family, those are the ones. That's the ground layer, the stepping stone to what's going to propel you further in your career, right? You don't have friends and family, they're not going to help you. So, at the end of the day, like, they have to understand and respect that too about you,
And a lot of it is I take things harder than I should. Like, I know this business is not,
we all do.
Yeah. Nothing's personal. I had pretty crappy youth, which I don't, only a fool trips over what's behind them. But I still have the personality defects that came with that kind of upbringing, the extremely low self-esteem, extreme inferiority complex, the imposter syndrome. That's just stuff that was ingrained with me as a child, that I know better than to always believe, but that doesn't make it always easy to handle.
No, it's not. It's hard. It's hard. But
and so just I try and focus on right now, and instead of what was or what could be. And just
The Power of Now. It's actually a book. If you ever want a good read, I don't know if you heard of it. The Power of Now is a great book.
I'm gonna put that on here right now.
It actually helps. I started reading it. My therapist, I see a therapist for my anxiety and stuff like that, and it helps. Honestly, I've been reading that book, and it changes your life, man. Because you just said it yourself. Instead of thinking of the past and future, you think of the now. But Charlie, actually, we're gonna get Luke on here, the guy who's gonna talk about the movie stuff with you quickly.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I had such a great time with you. And just to let you know, it might cut out at 1 o'clock for some reason, but if it does hang up, don't think we hung up on you. I'll just jump back into the link, or I'll resend it. I really had a good time with you chatting, man. This is great to talk about more than about the movies and stuff. Talk about you as a person. And honestly, I hope everyone enjoys this side.
I hope so too, man.
Thanks, guys. And guys, stay tuned shortly for Luke from At the Box Office.
Hello, welcome back to At the Box Office. I'm your host, Luke Smith. And guys, I'm super excited today, very pumped because I have my first guest on my segment, and that is Mr. Charles Baker, aka Skinny Pete from Breaking Bad. And first, I just want to thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to meet you, man.
Glad to be here, Luke. Thanks for having me.
So to kind of start it off, I kind of like well, you're my first guest, but here on out, I kind of want to start with this same question. And you've probably heard this a million times, but it's always fun to kind of get the guest's opinion on this. What is your all-time favorite movie, or do you have a favorite?
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, it would vary kind of depending on what part of my personality is in charge at the moment.
Yeah.
Goonies is one of, I'm gonna have to say, up there in the top my
It's a classic.
all-time favorites. I feel bad because a lot of times my favorite movies aren't anywhere near among like the top like actual movies. So I sometimes feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this. Maybe I shouldn't talk about how my cheesy tastes in film. But Goonies, I'm gonna go is one of the top ones. I'm probably gonna age myself a lot with some of these. Princess Bride. I mean, I can't go without mentioning Princess Bride.
I've never seen it.
Oh, I check it out. It's fun. It's for younger. I think it's for all ages, but it's one of the most quotable like movies around. And I actually saved a copy of it. I bought a copy when my daughter was born and saved a copy until she was like 8 or 9 years old and was staying home sick from school so that I could watch it with her, because that's kind of part of the movie. It's a kid staying home from school sick and his grandfather comes to read him a story. And the movie is about the story. It's the story that he tells. So check out Princess Bride. Yeah, I think you'd love it.
Real quick about Breaking Bad, because I'll be bringing that up a lot, probably just because my favorite show. You know what I mean?
Right on. Yeah.
There is a. I wanted to kind of start off and ask you if you had a favorite like memory, on set memory, or favorite scene that you filmed, or does anything stand out to you? Or
there's so many. It was like going to an amusement park or something when I went to set. I mean, it was just like I said, I grew up immersed in TV and film, watching shows and just being in awe of Hollywood in general. And Malcolm in the Middle was a show I had watched, and so when I got to set and the crew on that show, the cast and the crew, they were like one big family from day one. And like they loved the project they were on. They loved their jobs. They loved everything about it. Everybody acted like it. And so it was always a fun kind of party atmosphere that didn't interfere with the work. So like we'd have fun in between shots, and they'd say action and everybody became professionals and would work. And then they'd say cut, and then we'd all just like have fun. And I really appreciated that. So there was like every time I went on set, and I was on like 15 episodes, it was just like there was something magical that happened. And for instance, in my first season, when Bryan Cranston, after he shaved his head, a lot of people in the cast and crew, well, more of the crew because the cast couldn't, but a lot of people in the crew, in solidarity, let Bryan shave their heads. And so,
oh wow,
while during our lunch break, everyone's taking an hour for lunch, you go eat, and then Bryan was sitting outside with a chair and buzzers and just shaving people's heads. And Aaron
wow.
and Bryan were both taking turns. And then it was that kind of, camaraderie and fun kind of experience, that like something like that was going on every time. And so it's hard to like pinpoint one. The first time I met Jonathan Banks, who played Mike, was
Yeah.
that one stands out to me a lot, because he and I didn't really have a scene together. He interrupted a scene with Aaron and I, Badger and Jesse and Skinny Pete were all in a scene, and then Mike interrupts, and me and Badger leave, and the scene continues with Jesse. In the makeup trailer before that scene started, I was getting what little makeup they put on me to play Skinny Pete done, and they had Jonathan Banks came in and sat in the chair next to me, and we're like, we'd been on the show for 5 seasons at this point, and we're like, hey, nice to finally meet you. And he turns to me and he says, Charlie, if you screw this scene up, I'm gonna punch you in the heart. I just want to get this done with. And he said it in character, and he's like, I really dig people like him who can say stuff that sounds mean and gruff, but you feel no hostility whatsoever. Like, he said it like that was his way of saying, hey, good luck, have a great time, and it was
had to be a little intimidating,
a little bit, but at the same time, like I say, he's not a bad guy. Right. He's not, like, in person, he's like a really sweet, gentle, funny dude. And so just I just want to get this done with. If you screw it up, I'm gonna punch you in the heart. Okay. And it was kind of like, go get him, buddy. Was the feeling I got from it. And there was no, but it was something that it's always going to, like, oh, Jonathan Banks is going to punch me in the heart.
Yeah, well, that's awesome to hear you talk about that. And I really like when you mentioned, it was like a family from day one. It's always, and it sounds like, it's always interesting when it's such a dark show, can be like behind the scenes, like so fun. You know what I mean? That's kind of a neat contrast. You know what I mean? Because, like, just from watching the show, there are like some moments of humor, but for the most part, it's like very intense, very dark. But it's awesome, like how you guys could just turn it on for a scene, and then immediately after the scene, like you said, just like start talking again. And that's really neat to hear about, because obviously I'm not an actor or anything, so I haven't really seen that before. So sounds pretty awesome. So
yeah, I think it's a difference between, like, we take our jobs seriously, but we don't take ourselves, like, we aren't saving lives. We aren't, we aren't an ambulance service. We aren't, building houses for humanity. We're just make believe for a living, and there's no reason to take our, like, ruin everything about our lives just for these moments on camera. Right. And, like, we don't need to bring that home, like, any of that darkness. And there's no sense in, on any crew, no sense in antagonizing or alienating the people that you're going to be hopefully working with for many years. And so the better you can keep that family cohesion and keep it strong, the better off your show's going to be. And I've seen shows where the crew wasn't very cohesive. Everybody was kind of snipping at each other, and those shows they either last a little while but without very much success, or they just don't last at all, because it's not just what the audience sees. It's about what happens behind the scenes. And if everybody hates their job, then everybody's going to treat their job like it's like they're less important. Everyone on the crew at Breaking Bad, they inevitably went above and beyond the Call of Duty, because they loved their jobs, and it wasn't because they felt, like, if I don't do the more, I'm going to lose my job. It was like I was saying, I had said before in another segment, we all respected Vince Gilligan and his team and the writers. We really liked them and really loved the show, and we wanted them to be proud of us by showing how much, like, our gratitude for being on the show. The way of showing our gratitude was doing the best job that we could, and like, if you work for somebody you like, you're going to do a better job. It's just pretty simple kind of business rule. If you treat your employees like crap, they aren't going to work as great. Like, they may work harder for a little bit, but they aren't going to last. They aren't going to want to stay, things like that. And so, because Vince was a person to look up to, and because Bryan Cranston was a person you could look up to, who was a role model, it made everybody on the cast and crew want to succeed and want them to succeed and want to help and be part of it, instead of like, oh God, I have to go to work. That's a huge difference. Technically, my very first project was as a bartender in a film called Playing Dead, but I was actually working as a grip on that film. And the only reason I played the bartender was because the actor they had hired to play the bartender didn't show up that day. And I had quit my job as a bartender to be a grip. So that I could work in this, learn how to be, a grip in the film industry. I had learned through several different actors that, like, there's more work for people as a crew than there are acting jobs. And so if you can't get an acting job and you want to be on set, why not be a crew member, learn how to do something in the crew. And that way you can work when there's not acting jobs for you, you can still work. And then when the acting jobs come, the directors and all the people who are doing the work, they're likely to know who you are because you were working in the business already. And so I started as a grip, and then they gave me the bartender part for that. And that was called Playing Dead, and it was a low budget horror film that didn't turn out too bad. And my first time actually speaking on camera, because I think they even voiced over my scene for that bartender and Playing Dead. They just used my hand passing. But my first actual, like, speaking role in a film was Walker, Texas Ranger. And it was a reunion movie. It happened. It was called Walker, Texas Ranger: Trial by Fire, which I lucked out and I got a guest star role in that. But that was like the first time I'd ever spoken on camera with another actor in a scene. And I was like, I was sure that Chuck was just going to beat me up because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, my brain, it's just like, I have no idea what they're going to know, that I don't know, that I've never done this before. It's going to, like, I'm going to do something stupid. And I managed to not do something too stupid. So it worked out. But yeah, that was my first one.
Probably would be pretty rough. Like you said, to just even act like you're in that much pain just sounds like it would be a little miserable. You know what I mean? But you do it 13 or 14 different times from different takes and different angles, and it's exhausting more than anything, because it takes a lot of energy to put out that kind of scene. But so yeah, it's not the doing it once. Doing it once isn't the hard part. Doing it over and over and over again with the same intensity, with the same
same kind of stuff, but no, now I'll do a little bit to everything exactly the same, but a little bit more to your left, it becomes really, really exhausting at that point.
Well, we're kind of getting near the end of my show because I kind of like to keep them a little bit shorter. But Ben, I really, really appreciate you doing this. And just let me ask you some questions for a little bit. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's really awesome to meet you because I've watched Breaking Bad through probably 3 times through. You know what I mean? So I've seen you for a while. You know what I mean? So it's awesome to actually get to meet you. Before we kind of cap this off, I wanted to ask if you could tell me if you have any upcoming projects or anything you're working on or anything.
Well, I recently finished one episode of the new CSI Vegas.
Okay.
That will be on CBS on Wednesday nights, I believe. And that's really the only thing I really have coming up right now. Everything's been on complete hiatus since this pandemic started, and I had a couple of jobs that were delayed until later, and then I'm guessing because I haven't gotten any information about them, I think they've been ultimately canceled, and so I'm mostly working on my house. My wife and I have been trying to remodel this place, and so as much as I love working and could really use the money to pay for all the work that I'm doing on my house, I have a little extra time to keep trying to get these modifications and beautifications done. And so I'm enjoying that, quite frankly, as much as I can, and staying home with the kids while they do they're still staying doing homeschooling, and so as much as I'd love to be I have all these projects coming out, it's not possible or not feasible right now to have a bunch of stuff taking care of the kids. My wife has a great job, and what we call a stable job. And so I try, not as good as I should, but I try and take care of the other stuff, housekeeping and children wrangling and things like that, when I'm not working. So being a dad, it's one of my favorite gigs.
Yeah. Well, I'm really, there's nothing wrong with that at all, because first off, with the pandemic, as awful as the pandemic's been, that's probably maybe the one positive is that at least for me, I've had a lot more time to spend with my family. We actually sit at the table and have dinner sometimes, which normally mom makes the food and we go in there, we grab our food, and then we disperse to all the different corners of the house. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's brought it especially during that first lockdown period, where you just couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
That was the only positive, that we could come together. And like you said, my dad was off work for a little while, so he got a lot of stuff done around the house. We added on a little bit. So, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But yeah,
okay, that's what's happening. So
right, yeah. Well, hey man, like I said, thank you so much for doing this. Real pleasure meeting you.
You too.
Hopefully this has been fun for you. Yeah, thanks. Hopefully it's been a pretty good time for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think we can go ahead and wrap it up there. Guys, thanks as always for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to follow the Up and Adam Show on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Guys, thank you as always for watching. I will see you all next time.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Daniel.
And it's John.
And I'm Michael.
Michael.
And I'm
Trivial.
Jordan. And we're the Bad Batch. I wasn't here for last week's episode, but that was a banger, Rotundo. I'm not gonna lie.
I think it was our best episode
know what?
that we've ever filmed.
Yeah, I was gonna be honest. Like you had me twisted because I thought you were gonna say the Titanic wasn't even a boat. I thought you were gonna say it was a submarine. Yeah. And then you came out with it.
You know
that
what?
it was,
Let's do a brief.
that it was Olympus or whatever. What did you say it was?
It was the Olympic.
It was the lost city of Atlantis.
But since we have you here this week, what do you think of the
This
Titanic?
week. The Titanic, honestly, love the movie.
Mm-hmm. What'd you rate it out of 10?
Never watched it once. I heard it was great. Anyways, on to this week's episode because we're already a minute in. My name's John. I have 2 thumbs, and today we're talking about OJ's son. Okay? So everybody knows about OJ. Everybody knows about Big OJ.
Who is OJ for the people that
I'm
don't know?
not talking about orange
Orange
juice. Whoa.
Wow.
Conspiracy.
Inception.
Explosion.
Spinning top. This isn't even funny. Anyways, OJ Simpson. Did he kill or was he just a good football player? Comment down below. So basically, my conspiracy theory that I've done extensive research on, hence why I have my phone, and why I'm going to be reading these out because I want to make sure that I hit everything correctly. Because honestly, this is fucked. Like, this is crazy. I heard about this through TikTok, and I was like, there's no way. And then I did more research into it. I looked up, there was 3 different websites that I looked up on. And then there's a YouTube video that I'm going to send to Adam, and he's going to put it in the description below. It's an hour long. Go watch it, right now. And you're going to be like, OJ didn't fucking do it.
Right now.
He's innocent.
That glove that doesn't fit doesn't even fucking matter, bro. OJ's son did it.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it, Laud.
So I'm gonna give you some background knowledge first, okay? On OJ's son. OJ's son's name's Jason. Okay. Jason was diagnosed with a rage disorder, and he stopped taking his pills 2 months before the murder. In those 2 months, the 2 month span that he stopped taking his pills, he wrote a note saying that he would hurt anyone who ever hurt a loved one of his.
Damn.
Okay, that's a good start. Now,
All right.
Jason's passed. He nearly killed an ex-girlfriend of his, and he seriously injured another.
Jesus.
Yeah. Also, he was on probation for attacking his boss with a knife.
So this guy's fucked up.
With
Right?
with a knife.
The fuck?
With a knife. Yeah. So speaking of knives, okay,
That's crazy,
because we're going to
man.
get more onto the knife. There is no concrete alibi that Jason has given that supports where he was that night. And because he claimed that he was at work that night, okay, the timestamps for his work shift that night were handwritten by himself. When there's a working electric, the electric timestamp.
machine.
I know
Clock
for
in.
us, we clock in with the
Yeah.
screen, and the clock in was working, but he wrote his out. Okay?
Wow.
Next, there was a picture. So then they rated, it shows that they go into his locker, his work locker. In the work locker, this is where a lot of the things happened. In his work locker, there's a picture of him with a black Navy watch cap because he was a part of the Navy as well. Okay?
God.
He was doing Navy training. Black Navy watch cap. He frequently wore these. You asked his friends, this was his favorite hat. My Pete hat, Rotundo's hand. Everybody knew that this guy had a black Navy cap.
Wait,
okay?
my what?
Your hand.
What do you mean my hand?
Everybody has a hand, bro. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So, okay, this black Navy watch cap was found.
Explosion.
Was found at the murder, and it had dog fur on it. Oh my God, who has a dog? Jason has a dog that everybody knew. I'm gonna call him Sparky because I don't know his name. Sparky was a fan favorite by the family. He was shown in family photos. If you can find the Christmas photo, okay, the locker photo, because you can find it of him and Jason, the dog and Jason. Jason also happens to be wearing the black Navy cap in that picture. Okay, and there's dog fur found on the cap.
Do you know what breed the dog is?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. Also in the locker, there was a knife that matched the description for the one that was at the murder scene. Okay. And background story about the knife that he had. He did field Navy knife training from the academy that he attended. Okay. So non-biased looking at this guy has some background with
Blades.
some
Violence?
trained violence, I would say, okay,
Yeah.
because he was doing our Navy training.
Yeah.
Then we could say, he has a pass for violence because he has a rage disorder. All right, And he has previous convictions of violence already under his belt. Personal being his girlfriend, and more public being his boss. Okay? Now, moving forward. At the time of the murders, OJ was quick to hire a top criminal attorney for Jason before himself. Jason's attorney was hired before OJ's attorney by OJ.
And why would he do that if he was innocent? You
Okay.
know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's a little weird if you ask me.
And Jason wasn't even a suspect. The cops never said, we're looking into your son. Never. But OJ decided, let me get one of the top criminal attorneys for my son. He didn't even have an attorney yet. This is one of the first actions OJ did. Okay? This is where it heats up. Now, this is like, take this in. The DNA found at the scene was never tested for Jason. This is real life proof. Go into the video that I watched, the 1 hour video we will link below. Okay? There has been research done on this. They never tested his DNA for a match. His DNA was never tested for any DNA found, whether it was on Nicole, whether it was found on the cap, whether it was found anything in that house, in that room, wherever. Nothing was tested to Jason, OJ's son. And last but not least, and this is what my favorite point of this conspiracy. So, everybody knows the infamous car chase, right? The car scene chase?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why? It's kind of like, why are you going to raise your voice in a fight if you know you didn't do anything wrong? Why are you going to apologize? Because I know like a lot of people at work are taught never apologize to a customer because you're admitting you did something wrong. You always say, okay, I'll change or I'll fix or I'll do something else. You never apologize because you're admitting defeat. Okay? Why would OJ go on an extensive not ride along, cop car chase, okay? If he, from the beginning, said, I didn't do it, okay? He insisted he wasn't guilty, okay? After the car chase, he was like, I didn't do it, I'm not guilty, I didn't kill anybody, didn't kill my wife. There were scenes of him being like, extravagant, like, I lost my wife, all this stuff. I'm innocent, right? Why would he go? Some say, because Jason was at the scene, he committed the murder. He was giving his son time to get rid of any identifying evidence at the scene, cleaning up his mess that he made, and getting out there to give him enough time to get out. That's all the information I found. I'm going to give you the video down below. Seriously, I'm a little bit flustered because a lot of people don't know this. That video was crazy. I wanted to get this out to you guys, especially because we're doing conspiracy theories. It was crazy. It was just unreal.
No, yeah. After hearing what you said, it kind of like changed my opinion of the whole situation.
I know that whole OJ thing came out a while ago. The documentary. The documentary. And from there, you have the public saying, oh, he for sure did it, all this stuff. Same thing with like all the Michael Jackson documentary and stuff like that. But dude, this gives like an alternative perspective on things, and honestly, even you guys take a look at the video, and it was crazy.
Has the son ever got like in trouble after the murder? Like, has he done anything like messed up after that?
So this was only concluding the murder of the O.J. Simpson murder. So I don't really know if anything post murder has happened to him. But obviously he's still taking medication for the rage disorder he has. Yeah. But besides that, I don't know anything about his whereabouts. But in all reality, what do you guys think?
Bro, I think I agree with you, man.
It's pretty crazy.
It is.
I know it's like you're like for a loss for words because like this is all new information. But like,
I know. I'm kind of figuring this out in my head right now.
Yeah. You're like,
I mean, it makes sense.
No, it does.
It could possibly happen for sure.
Like, it actually makes you think.
But like, how do you get like no DNA? Like, if he was stabbing her, if he stabbed her, like, how is there absolutely no DNA on him?
Well, one, he wasn't tested.
Oh yeah, he wasn't tested.
He wasn't tested. He wasn't a suspect.
Two, he wasn't even a suspect. Three, if there was any, maybe he got it out on time because of the car chase. And another thing, because you can say people play out storylines. Everybody was so high strung. OG did it. The glove. This has been buried under the covers for so
under the
long.
mat.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's pretty crazy.
Maybe he did do it.
Maybe he did.
Maybe the killer's still on the loose.
So I want to know, what do you guys think? OJ's son Jason, did the dog have any part in this? What do you guys think? Let us know down below.
It was the German Shepherd.
It was Sparky. All right, let us know. We're the Bad Batch. Episode, what are we at? 6?
Episode 6.
Episode 6. Up and at 'em. We love you.
Peace.
Peace.